KoitCast.
Hi Steve, and welcome back to KoitCast for the fourth time.
Yes, thank you for having me on. Yeah, always a pleasure.
Yes, definitely a pleasure. Thank you ever so much for coming back. I know we get on. I love what you talk about. So here we go again.
Okay,
Um, I wanted to jump in with a few random thoughts before we get into the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about today, which is NHI physics and abilities.
okay.
But I wanted to talk a little bit about sugars. Now, I
Hmm.
know sugars have an issue in relation to NHI and any paranormal activity. Do you think judge of character is affected by refined sugars?
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, refined sugar is a poison. Let's just get that out of the way with. And it's probably the most addictive poison in the world, of all things. It's not good for our bodies. And what happens is that when we put this stuff into our body attacks it in a sense of speaking and takes vital things from other areas of the body to do that. And one of those resulting in adrenal weakness, which is your adrenaline, that sort of thing. So if you have adrenaline weakness and adrenal weakness because of the amount of refined sugar in your body, your fight or flight's not going to work. It's as simple as that. We rely on that mechanism for our fight or flight to step in. It's like an old survival sense where, I mean, most paranormal investigators will get this, that feeling of, the hair stands up on your neck and goes down your arms and stuff. Why does that happen? It's not an electrical field because people used to think, oh, it's an electrical field. We've just walked into a static environment. Well, no, because equipment which we can take in proves that's not the case. It's actually your body reacting to something, a stimulus that your other senses aren't picking up. You might not see something, might not hear something. Doesn't mean something isn't there, and your body's alerting you to that. It could be that an old survival sense from many years ago. I mean, back in the days when we had things, animals which would prey on humans, saber-toothed tigers and other things like that, maybe that we were alerted to we're being watched or we're in the vicinity of danger. This survival sense will come over and we utilize that and recognize it for what it is, and it would alert ourselves to one of a number of things, fight or flight. Sometimes running away, sometimes having to fight your way through a problem. But that mechanism is still there, even regarding the aspects of NHI, paranormal, supernatural. These things happen. Now, I don't think it's really much in regards personality of individuals. I think it can affect, in a physiological sense, it affects anybody, sugar in the same manner. But you know what I always say to people, if you are going to go out there and investigate, prepare yourself. Starve yourself of some refined sugar, and you'll find, surprisingly, that your fight or flight responses becomes very attuned, and you're more sensitive to picking up possible negative things in your environment, things that your body's screaming out to you, get the hell out of there. And if people don't recognize that, then, really they could be walking into some problems as opposed to evading them. So I don't think it affects everybody in the same way.
Is it also then a shield that we could use in that, say, you've said to me before, you've had like hitchhiker effect and things like
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah.
your home and stuff. Would
Hmm.
you consider binging a shed load of sugar just to then sort of like not be aware of it? Would that
Well, it
help your
doesn't.
peace
It
of mind?
doesn't. It doesn't deter them from the interacting or responding to people. But it's an alert mechanism for us that we're in the environment of it. I mean, there are other things you can utilize, which have been very helpful. The use of iron, and I mean, it has to be raw iron, not cast iron, which has been used right back from ancient times. Now, people I keep going back and researching. It keeps going back and back and back. I don't know how long this has been going on for. Certainly used in ancient times and even working right up to date throughout Europe and Middle East, all around the world. To be honest with you, that somehow people took this ancient knowledge into modern day and we're still utilizing it throughout 15, 16, 1700s. They were separating churches from graveyards and cemeteries by wrought iron fencing and gating on purpose to separate the realms. In old Victorian and Edwardian homes, even back to the Tudor days, you can tell where they're, and the beds were pretty small back then. And people weren't as big as
Mm.
we used to be, what we are now. And you could tell where beds were in those homes because they were being iron nails placed around them. So basically, you can walk into a room where there's just nothing but floorboards, but when you look, you can work out where the bed was because you can see this rectangular area of iron nails
And
placed
those
around the
nails are
bed,
nowhere else, just in that one location.
just around the beds during
Interesting.
sleep process to ward away these things at night. In Ireland, they were using iron rods to place over cribs to stop children being abducted in the night by phenomena. Farmers throughout Europe, banging iron rods into the fields to protect the livestock from being taken or worse by the phenomenon. And in the Middle East, they utilize hematite, which is highly potent of iron in it to ward away jinn and bad spirits. Japan have got their own thing. China's got their own thing. Yeah, but the thing is, it's the purities of iron that's in there that seems to be some form of deterrent for them. And also, if you are dealing with negative phenomena, especially at night, because they seem to be more active at night, is to flood the area with UV light. Now, he doesn't, they're not very bright. They're only very dim, actually, to our eyes. But you just buy these small UV little bulbs and you can put them in it as a nightlight sort of thing. But they seemingly help as well. So there are things that we can do to protect ourselves. And I think probably the most common thing is make sure your internal iron is boosted through supplements because many people experience phenomena when their iron content levels in the body are low. So it's boost your iron in your body as well. So doing all these things, is a deterrent, which does work. I've advised people over the years, and they keep coming back to me saying it worked, it worked. Even people contacted me just out of the blue to say, do you know what? I saw something that you mentioned on a video about this. I've done this, and it actually did help me. I thought, brilliant, great. But the question is, what's going on?
Yeah,
And we
why?
think it's the resonant frequencies of iron. We believe it interferes with the manifestation process. We believe because it disrupts RF, and I think they're utilizing areas of our RF frequencies to hold the mask or manifest or materialize, and it causes some disruption for them. So they'd rather not bother, as opposed to try and maintain something when they're in the area or location of iron, of raw iron. And I say, look, if even better, if you can get a small pendant made of raw iron and wear it to the skin, because this is the old theory. I mean, you look back at the Vatican Church and the exorcisms. If you look back in time of the exorcisms, they were utilizing crucifixes made of iron. Hence, it was adopted through the occult practice of the Iron Cross in German
Hmm.
forces. But it was representative of dealing with the phenomena with iron, without actually saying too much about it, because the Vatican don't like to talk too much about this sort of stuff. But the process of when we've seen Hollywood films, you've always got a priest and he's going like this, he's got this crucifix, and then sometimes they show you the crucifix burst into flames and this, that, and the
Mm.
other. It's got some truth to it, but the crucifixes would never burst into flames, but the phenomena would heat them up to the point of burning the hands of the priest. Because what the phenomenon wanted is the priest to be disattached from iron, disattached from protection of the iron, and hence sometimes placing the iron on a victim would burn them, or they'd feel the sensation of burning, not necessarily physical, but the sensation of it. But it got Hollywoodized, as it does, and
Mm.
things of fire. Because how do you represent heat? Heat, it's difficult to represent on film. So let's burst it into flames and it's that enough. So, but it's tied in there, the use of iron, going back for many, many, many years.
With this iron scenario, have we done or have are you aware of any experiments that have been done where, let's just say, we take a block of 3 months and put iron all around a well-known haunted place, and then remove it, and then put it back again and see what the disparity is across that time frame?
Not on a grander scale like that. We've utilizing it more so for people with traumatic experiences in their home or workplace, which we've utilized, and it's been beneficial for sure. Absolutely. It got so well, it was well recognized so much that an organization known as FREE, Foundational Research Extraterrestrial Experiences or something like that, I think it's put together by astronaut Edgar Mitchell and researcher Mary Wadwell's part of that, and many others. They reached out to me because of the statistics that we've got in regarding deterring the abduction contactee type experiences through the induction of iron in that environment. So they were very interested about our results. There does seem to be something, but what is really, really strange, and we haven't really put our finger on it yet, is that it doesn't seem to help when you're underground, only above it for some reason. And we just have not got an idea. I mean, it was my colleague Barry Fitzgerald that first recognised this and said to me about it. And we did some research, couldn't find out the reasons why it doesn't seem to work, underground. It
Is it
only seems to
Is it linked to radiation then? Because obviously there's
well,
radiation higher
um,
up.
there is a possibility there's something to do that because, like I say, it's at night and day, so you can't just say fall it under UV,
Mm.
which we looked into, but there's definitely something, and it could be, or it could be magnetic fields. It could be something to do that the induction of magnetic fields causes a polarity change or differences in the RF shifting of it, so therefore it's easier to manage for them being underground, and we just don't know. We've got to, we're still sort of in the middle of doing research and stuff, but we are making some headway in regarding that. It does would seemingly work as a deterrent. All these people contacting me, so many of them saying it's worked. You could say, well, okay, is it a placebo? You know, but then we placed iron under people's beds without, people who are having
Mm.
trouble and placed under, and it seemingly works. And they didn't even know that horseshoe or whatever was under the bed. Then you think to yourself, well, it can't just be simply placebo then. There's got to be something to it. And it goes back a long, long time. Someone somewhere, these ancient schoolings, must have found out a way that it helps. And
Yeah, well,
it's been
that's the
used.
interesting bit is whether they knew about it through experiments or whether they happened onto it.
Was it just by chance? But you
Yeah,
know what? To circumnavigate the globe, this information, it was certainly vital and used, which is very interesting. Yeah.
and it goes back to then that like what you mentioned horseshoes. Obviously, people were putting horseshoes on the doors for good luck. That's obviously not
Well,
necessarily that
it's
reason. It's
never been
the
for
other
good
reason.
luck. It's
Yeah.
never been for good luck. Yeah. People place them over the doors to ward away, to ward away
Mm.
evil. That's what it was represent. That's what it's for. But then they kind of got it twisted into, oh, well, it means luck. Well, no, it doesn't. People even put it on cakes and things, on wedding cakes and stuff. But it's nothing about luck. The whole thing it's because of what it's made of.
Mm.
And they kind of, this is how it gets sort of mixed up over the years, sort of thing.
I like it. It's interesting. I would really like to know, and I know your research will be taking you back and back and back to work out, if possible, where the origin of it comes from, because that would then tell you whether it was an experiment or happenstance.
I'm thinking, I mean, we don't know for sure, but we're thinking it's ancient Middle Eastern, back to the days of Solomon. We're thinking because there's connections there, but just because we haven't found anything before doesn't mean it doesn't
Mm.
exist, of course. But we got it, it goes back a long, long, long time and associated with gin, actually.
Yeah, highly interesting. I love this. With the blood scenario, I think we've talked briefly about that before. Um, more iron in your blood, in theory, then protects you against paranormal manifestations, whatever. Do you think this is why, or part of the reason why, there's a massive vegetarian or vegan push, is because some measure of forces are trying to get
Yeah,
us, softer.
it's a good point. We're living in a today's society. It's just bad. I mean, this is why our ancient ancestors were so acute in regarding their abilities, their sensory abilities and things like that, because their intuition was very high, because of the environment they lived, clean air,
Mm.
clean water, clean food, no radiation, that there were no mobile phones and all this fiber, and 5G and all that sort of thing. We live in poison. We're brought up in a world of poison. and it affects us. It affects us in many, many ways. Well, our ancient ancestors didn't have that. So they were pure, more pure, and this is why we've lost our way. We're literally trying to, instead of learn something new, we're trying to relearn something old about, abilities and intuition and the phenomena and how we react to it. But it's different times, and now we live in a different world, so it's very, very difficult. And the purities that are in food are just gone. I mean, if it's not the food which is very poor now, it might look nice, compared to how it should really naturally be grown and stuff, which are things, a lot of things aren't naturally grown now. They're manipulated and messed with. It's different. There's nutrients that we've lost, and the body requires them. So many people having to take supplements. We never had to have to take supplements before. We have to take supplements because we can't get it out of the greens we eat. Why? Why can we not? Because the greens are not like the greens it should be. And it's a wrapping around foods. The plastic leaches into the food, into drink. That's why you go and buy a bottle of water in a plastic bottle. There's a sell-by date on it. I mean, it's been running down a mountain for thousands and thousands of years, but if you go to buy it in a plastic bottle, because the plastics leach into the water, they were living poisons everywhere. So yes, you're absolutely right. People's dietary can help, but it's very, very difficult. I mean, even for vegans and vegetarians out there, what are they going to eat? Oh, they'll say, well, we switched from meat to vegetables. Yeah, but there were no good vegetables around. How are you getting them? Because they're genetically modified or they're sprayed with insecticide, they're wrapped in plastic, and they've been injected with things to last longer. Sometimes they're manipulated to have no seeds because people say, I don't want no seeds. Well, it's not normal. I mean, it's like, let's create a person that doesn't have, a belly button. Well, how? It's the same thing as having an apple with no seeds. How does it you can't have reproduction of a plant without seeds. Everything is just so, so strange now. And the body is impacted because of it. So we live in a different world. So I don't think they're going to fully get away from it. The situation that we live in a poisonous environment, even if you switched to become a vegan or vegetarian, it's better for sure. But the idea is not to glow so brightly. Because it's not like you're going to say, like, I'm going to do this because I don't want phenomena to detect me. The phenomena can detect you at all levels if it chooses to, if it wants to target individuals. All you really want to do is not catch the eye. So you don't want to burn so brightly. And a phenomena is attracted to those that burn brightly when they've got low iron content in the blood, deficiencies, those sort of things, or issues in the home, issues in their life. It tends to strike and target individuals where they're easier to manipulate. And we already got some issues that can be dug up and thrown back at them and cause them problems. And this is how the phenomena works. It's a bit skullduggery and deception and creeping around in the shadows.
Yes, swines again. I've mentioned that
Yes.
before, but that's what they are.
Yeah.
A bit. We're just about to go into the NHI stuff, but the being watched thing was interesting to me. Do you think we get that feeling because, let's theorize, it could be our auras or whatever just radiates off our body are interacting, and that's what we pick up on?
Well, that just finishing on what you just said, swines. The terminology comes from the casting of demons out and into swine, into pigs.
Ah, lovely.
Which was mentioned in the Bible that Jesus cast demons out of individuals and placed them into pigs. And that's where the terminology comes from when you call people the swines, you know,
Oh yeah, they're the cast out ones. I love it.
that's the one. But when it comes to detection, you talk about your auric field and things. Well, oh yeah, everybody has an auric field. I mean, it's a bit debatable over the photography of it and curling and stuff because then what they're doing is they're putting an electrical charge into you to photograph. So but we do have a natural aura around us, an electrical field, and it does interact with our environment and other people. I mean, sometimes you can just walk into a room and there's just somebody there. You just kind of go, oh, I don't know what it is about that person, but there's just something that rubs me up the wrong way.
Mm.
You can get a clash for sure, as you can get, not opposing, but actually people which are, opposite and are great to be around because you just seem to leave match, or it feels. It varies with different people, of course, especially their intent and what they've been involved in and stuff, because they carry the weight of what their involvement is, especially Satanists and people like that. People can
Well,
pick that up.
that was part of my original question with about the sugars. Is that if we imagine if we're completely off sugars, all poison stuff, would you be able to sense dark people easier?
I would have thought so, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. If you only, well, not so much picking up dark people, or, or their intent. If it's directed at you, in other words, it's defense of harm. This is mechanism going to come in because it's going to recognize that there's something dangerous. If it's directed towards you, yeah. If someone's just walking down the street and they're not even looking at you and stuff, you might walk past them. You might not get that trigger response. It's a trigger response that is for you personally. It's personal for each and every individual out there. But recognizing that, not people ever do now. They
Mm.
come very much blind to it. They could be walking into fire sometimes and the body's screaming at them, get the hell out of Dodge. And they don't even know. Because when people go on Skywatchers and things, what did they do? Let's take the Coca-Cola with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take
Few burgers
chocolate,
and chips. Yeah.
chocolate, crisps, and all these things. The amount of sugars in that, you've just killed your fight or flight and you're there. If something's saying get the hell out of there, you're not likely to experience, you're not likely to register it
Mm.
walking lonely into it. And not everybody has bad experiences, but let's put a point to this that people do have. It's not that people don't. People do have bad experiences, and if they can and walk into an environment and have a bad experience, you think to yourself, well, it's pot luck, isn't it? If you want to go out investigating the paranormal, the supernatural, ufological, whatever you want to call these things, there is at times when people have had bad experiences. And one day, just out of the blue, it could be you. And what do you do under those circumstances? Be prepared, at least, you know, because if there's something negative, you will experience that fight or flight. And it's there for a reason. Always listen to it. And if it says get the hell out, get the hell out. Don't press it. But it's some people, it's gone very sadly wrong for people. Didn't have protocols and messing about in investigations and experiments. And they end up with a hitchhiker effect and it causes some terrible problems in their lives. And sometimes those can be life-changing events which can last a lifetime. Sometimes it gets its claws in and it can last a lifetime. So it's not worth the gamble, really. Always be protected to yourself in some form or way.
Steve, I'm gonna have to go out and buy a shitload of iron now. You know this, don't you?
Do you know what's strange? What is odd is that it isn't easy to buy. I mean, you can buy, everybody keeps saying this. I said, well, there might be a reason behind that, but steel, nickel, or copper, you name all the other metals, you can easily get hold of them. But trying to get hold of raw iron, not cast iron, raw iron, isn't so easy, to be honest with you. Because people said, I keep trying to look for this. Where do you get it from?
Churches, you have to go down there with a
Yeah,
blowtorch.
and a hacksaw and a blowtorch. Yeah, there's plenty of it around churches, of course. Absolutely, they do it for. I mean, look, raw iron's not cheap.
No, heavy
You
and
know,
not expensive. Yeah.
heavy, expensive. When you want to order some wrought iron gates, you're going to pay through through the roof for it. So why are all these churches using it? It's beneficial more for just, well, if you just want to put up something, let's use something cheaper, not 10 times the expense.
Hmm.
There's a tradition there, you see, it's utilized.
The good thing is I can probably get hold of a shed load of horseshoes because Tiff deals with horses, so that I could be good
Yeah.
with.
Yeah,
Make a
nails.
gate out of horseshoes. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes they use the raw iron on railroad nails,
Oh yeah, yeah.
for sleepers and stuff. But there isn't much around, to be honest with you. People have actually tried to buy pendants and things. Occasionally you'll come across them, but always good to wear them to the skin. You can't get better than that because it's always with you.
Yeah, interesting thought. I haven't got anything, but I've never felt personally under attack by anything.
Oh, that's a good
I
thing.
feel as if I've got a natural
Yeah.
defense against it. Maybe I don't know. I don't know, but
Well, do you know what? I don't think anybody has a natural defense against this, to be honest with you. But in your world of what you do, it's probably admittable. It's okay. But if you were to do the work that some of the things like I do, you would really want to sort of arm yourself up somewhat, to be honest with you, because we have experienced it when we caught the eye, and it's not been nice. It's really not been good. And it's like a slap on the hand sometimes with the research that we've done, because we know because it's caught the eye so fast. It's like a slap on the hand and saying you're being naughty, stop it, that sort of thing. That's
Yeah,
how it
stop it, Steve.
feels.
Else we'll nick your pajamas. Yeah, we
Well,
we
yeah,
know
not
that.
again. No, no, I'm not going again.
Which actually, before we jump in, I got two more random thoughts on the pajamas. One of my commenters said, "Were the pajamas always there, but just phased out of existence, so you couldn't see them?"
Very possible, because we know that NHI can manipulate reality. I mean, look at Oz Factor experiences. People walking down the road to see a triangular craft in the sky. There's a pair of them. They're on a busy high street. The people walking around, shops they're open, vehicles passing by, buses. They're looking up and seeing this thing. They have an experience, but they realise, where's all the people? Where's all the cars? It's it's the same reality, but not.
Hmm.
You know, they have the experience, and the next minute they're back on the same place, people, cars, and everything around. They can manipulate reality. So there's a possibility through paranormal mechanics that it could have just been shifted a gear out of our existence. So really, they never moved. You know, for a duration of time, and then just switched it back. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a good question. It could be. You know what? I'm actually thinking that's more likely the case, to be honest with you, because they seem to be very resourceful, don't want to waste energy. So maybe they can do that. They can just switch it into a different reality.
Hmm.
There's been experiments and things that have taken place where it's demonstrated that, children having an alien abduction type experience in Switzerland, where the door in their bedroom, because this happened at night in their bedroom, two beings in the bedroom, the door had disappeared. There was no door to get out of the bedroom. It was just a wall. That's what they perceived.
Yeah, that's gross one, that one, isn't it?
Oh,
No escape route.
it's
Hmm.
no escape route. So, I mean, and people trying to get away from an object that was close in the sky going down a country road at night, man and wife. They got spooked, so they turned the vehicle round and drive the opposite direction to realise that actually somehow, when they didn't recognise a glitch or anything, they're back on the same road heading in the direction they didn't want to go in. And this is like, sure, we just turned around, sort of thing. We're heading back towards this object. They can manipulate things, so doesn't I wouldn't put it past at all for the fact that they can phase things out of reality for sure.
Yes, that's what I think as well. The last thought was you mentioned being watched and also saber-toothed tiger, and obviously our natural reactions to, oh, we feel we're being watched. Is that part of the uh, double split slit experiment or whatever that thing's called? Where it's just
Yeah.
intentional, the viewer
Um,
effect.
well, not with individuals, but with reality, yes. With the reality that we see around us, I mean, there has been some work done in experiments saying that there are psychological things that some people can detect when they're being watched. These experiments, when people have been staring at the back of people and they go, yes, they click a button when they're being watched, they click a button when they're not. And statistically speaking, over the surveys, yes, some people are very good at detecting that when they're being watched. And that is probably an old survival sense that's kicking in now. We don't really need it now because we just go to the shops once a week. It's not
Well,
hard to
that's what I
survive.
mean. Imagine that was all. Wait, it was always there, and we automatically know when a lion is looking at us. If the lion buggers off and looks over there at a gazelle, that turns off, and when he
Yeah,
looks at us again, it's turning on. So that what is that saying? Is it the
survival.
observer effect, but it's from the lion's perspective this time?
Well, it's a survival sense that's kicking in. So it's something that we do have innate within us. If we don't use it so much, then it becomes a bit more docile. And it has been over the years because we don't really need survival sense much now. We just, like I said, we just go to the shops. And what do we need to do to survive a week? Back in ancient times, it was probably different, so especially when we had predators around, so I would assume we would have had that more prominent then. But I think reality, yes, the waveform collapses when we're watching anything in reality, you know. But I don't know about the individuals between each other. But that mechanism is certainly there. It's saved people's lives actually many
It's
times.
whether mechanism is all encompassing or whether it's just each individual object, i.e., a lion could
Yeah.
be me, could be you. When we look, that interacts with the other person. So it's a constant
Mm.
overlap of all these
It,
views.
it, it absolutely could all
Could be
be
that.
intertwined. There's a
Mm,
mechanism could be at play here, and we're just tapping into a source there. And it gives us information. If we choose to be able to accept it or understand it is a different thing, of course,
yeah.
but I think it's there, absolutely.
Like we're small nodes in that computer
Yes.
program we
Yeah, yeah.
talk
In a,
about,
in a, in a sense, yes, that's right.
Lush. Okay, let's dive into the NHI physics and abilities. Now, normally I write down a shed load of questions, and I haven't this time.
Okay.
We've got these topics that we want to talk about. So let's start with the first one, which was how to invoke through incantation NHI via the seance process.
Okay, so the process is, without giving the inner details away, because I don't want to encourage people to sort of just throw themselves into stuff like this, because it can be a bit dangerous sometimes if you don't do it right. There are several ways. You go through the process of seance. First, it could take up to maybe a year, if not longer, to build your circle, because you've got to have a circle. We use 13 in our circle. There's a method, there's a reason for that. It's a bit like covens and stuff. We have one head with 12 individuals. So the process of that is to build a circle which works. Preferably, it has to be underground, be better, better results. Again, don't know why, but just the way it is. And your circle is best with believers and experiencers. So even though that we've invited and wanted scientists around the table, the results were a lot less. Until you swap them out to somebody who's a believer or somebody who's an experiencer, phenomena seems to like that. And it takes about a year or something to get your circle just finely tuned. And you got to have a good physical medium there for the mediumship level. And then you go through the normal process of seance. And many people have seen seance and before that sort of thing. But once you establish a connection, you've got to maintain a connection and keep it. And you usually probably operate that for about 6 months as a regular contact. And at the next level is to push a little bit further. So you're skirting supernatural stuff. So you're going to get light phenomena, object movement. It's a bit like poltergeist stuff. But once you get to that level of like things happening around in that environment where you're doing it, where you got little, poltergeist things, you've reached a level ready for NHI communication. And then you have to do that by request. Now, sometimes you can utilize some things which call themselves spirits on the other side, which are helping, apparently helping. In other words, a spirit circle, like your circle. Or otherwise, or sometimes it's non-directional. So basically, you're doing it yourself, and you're punching through to, asking to talk with aliens and things like that. You're just saying, look, we would like to communicate with things not beyond our realm and reality, and you start fishing. It's like fishing. It's just like sat there with a rod, hoping someone will come by and catch it. It takes a bit of time, but once you actually do get that, then it's a different situation. Contact with NHI is quite formidable. It's always there because when you're doing seance stuff with, I say spirits very loosely, um, you have to build it up each and every time you come back to the table. Not with NHI, it's like a phone off the hook. You can go away and come back and they're straight there again. It's a different type of stuff. Um, but that's the good way of going about it. It takes time. The wrong way to go about it, and it does work, and it works very fast, and it catches their attention, is through the invocation practices, biblical stuff, or Sumerian, Enochian, Babylonian stuff. Invocations, they work. They absolutely do. But it's like hammering at the front door. They don't like it, I don't think. Yeah, but it gets their attention very, very fast within a week.
Well, then there is power in words or the intention behind the
There's
incantation,
power in words and power in sigilization.
which means all the stuff from antiquity, it wasn't just superstition that people had, it was facts and
It works.
experiences, and then we now look back and belittle it.
Exactly. That's the problem with it. We should
Mm.
never do that. It does work. The thing is, though, we're all doing it all over the world. It's still happening now, to be honest with you. But they had their own methods and ways of doing this. So they utilized Enochian angel speech, which John Dee, and he used other methods, Egyptian cosmology methods, Babylonian Sumerian type methods. So these people might even use a satanic method. It doesn't matter what method. It's still the same source, and it's just different ways of getting there.
Just a
But
different knock on the door.
it's just a different knock, but it's
Yeah.
still a knock. But the thing is that it's the measurement of intent which they recognize. And it works. Oh yes, it does work. It gets their attention very fast, but it's not a safe method. It's not something I would say is desirable to do unless you really had to. I mean, if you're doing it for experimental reasons, I kind of understand that because we've been there. But it's not the safe way, not the safe protocols we have to put in, not the same process. It's
Couple of questions for you, right?
problems.
One of my favorite questions is always to what end? Now, I can understand yours. If you're in a part of an experiment, you want to know what is there, it's just questioning. But other people who might have, I don't know, greed reasons, nefarious reasons, or whatever,
Yeah,
that's to what end for them is they want to get rich or whatever. So all the things, the cliches you've seen in the movies about we're summoning a demon because we want to get rich, and we know that NHIs and other things have the ability to manipulate into our reality.
Hmm.
Is that true? I.e., so
yeah,
are there covens, God knows what else, of people doing that to enrich themselves in this existence?
yes, absolutely.
Doesn't that just
And not
bugger
just
everything up then? Because they're
and
cheating.
big establishments
Yes.
and governmental parties, establishments, organizations. Yes, they've took a knee to it. They know that if you pay homage and worship, although the situation is we have big G and we have a lot of little G's. The Bible, when it was referenced, was all talking about little G's. It was always God's, not God. But there's lots of little G's, and they can grant you certain things if you do some things for them. It always comes at a cost. Absolutely, nothing's for free in this world. But yeah, it's happening. And if you maintain that recognition and worship and homage, then the success can continue to keep going. And it happens in various different little G's that are doing the stuff.
Yeah, but that really pisses me off, Steve, because it isn't a level playing field then, is it? At all. I mean,
No.
life isn't fair. We know that, right? But this is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
uber
But it's
beyond
supposed
that.
to be. I mean, people think that it's supposed to be a walk in the park. It isn't.
No, I don't.
It was never supposed to be a walk in the park. This is a place where we've been put to learn through mistakes, through hardship, through problems. It's a process of learning. If you want to cheat the program, then you have to turn to the little G's. And the little G's will help you cheat the program. But it always comes at a cost. Nothing's free, you know. And this is the problem, and
And that brings me to my question again. To what end? What is the overall game? Because if these little G's are
power.
asking stuff of you,
It's
and that's
power
all
for the little G's, you know.
weird, isn't it? The whole thing.
Power and building their audience, building the church. Because a church is not a church. When I say church, people are going to envisage a building. It's not. A church is a gathering of people. Yeah. And because a gathering of people are in a building, significantly designed to look different, they call that the church. But it isn't, and it never was. It's the gathering of people, it's the gathering of souls and spiritual connections. So you can have a coven, you can have, your individuals that come and listen to you talk, that sort of thing. That's what they want. They want the worship, they want the homage, they want their audience, and they want to build on it. And they seemingly get some reward from it, and by doing that, they can reward others for doing it. So yeah, and that's how it works with the little G's. You know?
Swines again, Steve. Swines.
Yeah.
Two more questions about your process. Why the number 12? Is that to do with like Jesus and the disciples, that sort of thing? Or number 13, I should say.
Symbolistic.
It's
Yeah,
as simple as
symbolist
that.
is as simple as that. I mean, you wouldn't think that a simple sigil carving on the bottom of a table, which you wouldn't say, would make a difference. And there is power in sigilization. There's power in words. There's different terminologies for certain things, and it does work. It really does work, and you can't imagine because we're thinking it doesn't fit in with the physics and understanding of the power and the empowerment. But it's always been there. God used it. It's the same thing there. The word of God. And you cannot look upon him. Because it's impossible. But even our Christian God was invoked to communicate with people through the process of blood sacrifice. From animals to being sacrificed to be blood used in a ceremony to invoke even our Christian God, the God that we know. So we're not much different than in the other deities of South America, the Aztecs, the Incas, the Mayans, and many others around the world. The same process of blood being utilized is a prominent thing with all deities, all of them. So it's the intent of blood is a very special thing. Even Jack Parsons was when he was doing his ritualistic practice and gaining information about making rockets to help us get to space, which they helped. He had to take some of his own blood and give it as an offering out in the coordinates that they gave him in the middle of the Mojave Desert. But it worked for him for a certain
So
length of time.
it's just bloody weird.
Yeah,
Doesn't fit in with the paradigm of what we are, what we think we are.
yeah.
Born as a material life, get on with it, live and die. It's something different.
Oh yeah, but if you go to all these places around the world, and I've been to these places, and you think to yourself, why is there an altar there? Why is there a sacrificial bench there? Why is it facing towards the rising sun? What is going on here? What are they doing it for? And it's for various different deities, but all like the same thing, And it's been used, and it still is being used. Sigilizations on NASA rockets, on secret launches during ceremonial launches. They're doing it because it's successful for them to do so. It's like when they've been asked about things like that, they say, "Well, it's for them." And who are them?
Mm.
And it's like, well, the sponsors. You
The
know,
sponsors.
that's
Yeah,
how
what a
they.
weird phrase, but
Well,
I
yeah,
like
because
it.
basically they say, look, we have never got to space in the way we did back many years ago if it wasn't for them. They you look into the research of all the major rocket scientists from around the world, most of them have released the books on their life, biographies. They gain the information from direct voice phenomena coming out from the room, talking to them, conversations, downloaded information through dreams, or downloaded information during the day. But the information is being given to them, and then they suddenly go, "Oh, write it down, go and do the work. This works. Fantastic. A helping hand." And they got us to the stars. They are advancing us, technologically advancing us, and not just in space exploration, in inventions and all many different things, including AI. Well, let's not go there yet. There's still a lot of big story yet to come on that. But yeah, they've been involved in a lot of different things. You know, the caretakers, the watchers, you call them what you will, but they're intertwined with humanity, giving us a helping hand, but at the same time, the hand that feeds is also the same hand that bites. And that's what you got to be careful about sometimes.
Mm. Right, another question for you. Are you concerned, right? I know your intention is noble with your group, your seance that you do your NHI process. Are you concerned at all that one, two, or more of them might be turned to then have a different intention, and
Oh,
therefore,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. But, you know, we've been doing this long enough now that we know to take the foot off the pedal when things are being steered in an opposing direction. But you can't trust NHI anyway. You are already in opposing direction as soon as you open the door to NHI. They're deceptive, for sure. They can provide good things and provide bad things, you know. So there's no trust at all. Don't ever be fooled into thinking you can trust these people, these guys. You can't. But at the same time, they're omnipresent. You just not. You need to know how to tap the source. You know, some people do know. So, and I've talked before with other researchers, including my friend Nathaniel Gillis, about where did this practice of invocation, incarnation come from? There must be some form of grimoire. There must be something, and we're on the hunt for it. You know, there's a hunt, we're on the hunt for some form of grimoire that outlines the process of how you do it. I mean, NASA have even used presidents to, and they don't know, they're just going ahead and turning up and doing what they're asked to be doing. They're a part of a ceremonial launch. Just look in this direction. Just do this, Mr. President. Just do that. You know, because NHI, you know, you got a person of power in there. It's big for them, you know, and rewarding. So, but yeah, it's you can't trust them. So yeah, sometimes you can think, yeah, it can go in the opposite direction. But you see, you've not got the control over this. They've got control, you know. So you
which
just
then
need to
begs
be
this question, Steve: Are you on a fool's errand when you do this because you might just get crap from them constantly, and therefore is I don't want to say your time is wasted, but do you understand my intention there? Is
It
like,
can happen
yeah,
for sure. Yeah, you've got to do things in a certain way, and you've got to have protocols wrote in and what you might refer to as a kill switch. So you can just stop, you know, and that's the end of that. Sometimes it's stopped by others. There's a hierarchy of them, by the sounds of it, from what we've gathered the information over the years. It's definitely a hierarchy of them. You know, some which are more powerful and more authoritative and have some clout.
agreed. But my point is, if you can't trust them, you'll never know what their intention is unless
No.
they specifically say to you, and
Well, the
you
thing is
believe
that
that.
they do deliver information which is critically true,
Ah,
you know, even from future events or how to find out certain things or, you know, so yes, sometimes they speak the truth, but then sometimes they don't, you know, so it's a bit like information and disinformation thrown into the same pot. But sometimes it's rewarding because the information they do give you, which is credible sometimes, is very worthwhile. But at the same time, you've got a lot of red herrings that can take you down lots of different roads and be very deceptive as well. So it's tricky.
in
It's,
your experience, what's the hit rate of correctness versus incorrectness?
well, that depends on that process, you know. Not, I mean, there are many people that have conducted seance and stuff, but they unfortunately don't really reach manifestation level. And we know the reasons why they don't do that because they're not doing it in the right way. Um, and people want to rush these things. They don't. Nobody wants to sit around creating a seance. It's going to take a year. Nobody wants to do it. They want to go straight. Let's go out on a Saturday night. Let's go to a seance. Let's all do it in a night. Okay. You know, it doesn't work like that. If you know, you've got really got to put the time and effort in to have the good, real good stuff. And even then, sometimes, you know, we can't just consider it's just us. There's a cooperation that's taking place, and they've got to want to. and if they do, and if they're interested, then yeah, that door can be opened. But then with NHI, I mean, with spirit circles and stuff, you can close them down. You can't close NHI down. Can't.
Hmm.
Once they come through, they're through, and you can't shut that circle down.
Therefore, this question comes to mind: are you glad you opened the door or not?
Um, in regards to research, yes, it's been beneficial. In in other ways, no, it's not been good because it does take it out on you in regarding your life and problematics and things like that. So yeah, there's a weight to this. But it's about the research, really. I mean, I'm an electrical engineer, I was taken off that path. And I can't try to get away from phenomena. There's no way. It kept driving me back into that. And so I had to change tracks. And now since I spent 41 years on this track, it's like it's meant to be. I don't know. But yeah, it can be rewarding, certainly for research purposes. We've got to learn. I mean, that's what life's about. We're pioneers, humans. We can't help ourselves. We've just got to, you know, we
More,
can't help
new,
our,
more, new, discover. Yeah, it's that.
always.
Hmm.
And that's the way we are as humans. So, and I think to myself, well, what else are we here for? We got to learn somehow about the world that we live in. So, because it's a bit mundane if you just think, well, life is about just working 7 days a week and not pondering anything. Not much, is it really? And
No,
you
that's the best thing to do is to exercise that. That's what I find. That
you've got to. And I think
amazing.
asking those important questions about the world, we were given those in that the way we are, it's been provided to us to be able with the tools to ask those questions and pursue it. So yeah, I think people should do ask more about the environment, the world they live in, but yeah, it has its good points and its bad points.
The problem is here is that the world that we're asking questions about from your research and others' research isn't the world that we actually inhabit. Do you know what I mean? We're looking at this small globe of our ish of where we think we are, but actually it's this.
It's everything.
Yeah, it's
What we
horrible.
what we just don't
Actually,
we just don't realize about reality in that constructed reality, and the masters of it are the NHI.
right. And speaking of mastership of things, let's talk about NHI phasing and metaphysical capabilities and experiments there too.
Okay. All right. Well, there's been a lot of work in that area, and we've been involved in that area as well. There's a lot of secret stuff that goes on in regarding the this type of research, which I get to hear about. Metaphysicality is the main thing. NHI manipulate our reality to the point where they become metaphysical. So they can choose. The problem is just by looking at something doesn't necessarily mean it's real. What is real? Well, we know that reality isn't real, so let's just get that out the window. Well, what about something like I'm holding, like a cup? Is it real? Well, you can feel it, and
It looks
therefore
real.
it
Yeah.
looks real, but really it doesn't exist. I mean, it's a reality construct. It's just constructed with of atoms and things put together. But what if you could see it, but then you go to touch it and you can't? Your hand goes right through it. This is the problem that we have with UFOs, paranormal. Just because we see them to look real in a physical sense doesn't necessarily mean they are. They have the capabilities of switching, and you wouldn't notice the difference of just by visualization. This is why UFOs can seemingly go into water without leaving a wake, no splashes, go past at high speeds of civilian aircraft without any wakes, being suddenly disappear off radar, then pop back on. They've got like a switch and can just go click. Non-physical, but you can see me. Click. I am physical, so I'll leave prints on the ground if I land, or if I'm a Bigfoot, I'll leave prints in your backyard. It's metaphysicality is across all aspects of phenomena. Excuse me, and it's part and parcel with the matrix of simulation that we live in, and the manipulators of it. So. There's experiments in this. It's taken place over the years. And Lawrence Livermore National Laboratories have been involved in that, and some in Brazil, and others actually have been. We've been doing quite a bit of research in this area. The idea of phasing. We talk about these beings. Alien Greys, for an example. They can walk through a wall into your bedroom and then pick you up. Well, they're physical, or they're not. Well, they're not physical when they come through the wall, but they then become physical to pick you up. Okay, apparitions, ghostly sightings. Well, they seem to walk through a door, but then can prod you. It's same. Are they physical or not? The same metaphysics are involved. The same mechanisms being involved, and it's the same for all sorts of various phenomena. So when you do the deep dive on these things, you see the same mechanisms at play across the whole board. Is a mechanism which is being used. So yes, the metaphysical. Now it was considered some time back in military establishments conducting secret experiments into the phasing program. Albert Stubbenbein was one of them. He was a two-star general, and he wanted to see if we could do the same thing NHI can do and phase through walls, the old super soldier type stuff. And indeed, he was involved in operations and programs with that, closely linked into remote viewing programs as well. So we're aware about NHI and what their capabilities are doing in regarding manipulation of our reality. But the problem is that we live in a box, and that box is reality. And really, to understand it, you need to be out of the box, like they are. The NHI are on the outside of the box. And when they want to come play with the kids, they jump inside the box and manipulate things. So we can't get ahead. It's very, very difficult to understand and do experiments when you're stuck in the box, you know. But I have heard, interestingly enough, that some have managed to get out of the box, but that's through NHI and what they're dealing with.
Or have people got out of the box through like NDEs or whatever, and then obviously
Well,
we've come back into the
it's
box.
not supposed to be a long-lasting affair, and near-death experiences are either fully go or they don't, but they tend to be short-lived. NDEs, same with out-of-body experiences, altered states of consciousness, DMT trips, but it's getting out of the physicality of the world and what we see and hear, what we construct the reality in our brain. So we do get these little glitches. People report glitches, and they just call them one of those things. There's actually a book called Just One of Those Things, Jots, they call them, which is about people all over the world saying about these odd glitches, and it's just a little hiccup in the matrix, the simulated reality. And it does happen.
And
It's
that's
like,
the getting out of the box, these experiences.
I think so. I think getting out of that box is the people that have managed to apparently done so is through the process with NHI. So, um,
Such as?
there are telepathy tapes using autistic speaking children, autism, and they're taken to a metaphysical environment outside the box.
The hill, we're calling it, I
Well, there's
guess.
more than one hill.
Mm.
There's the hills. It's a rainbow world. Red hills, beautiful skies, rainbow coloured this, that, and the other. It's designed purposely for the children. And there are NHI there in control of communication pods. And I don't like that idea, but it's seemingly outside the box, But this is the problem we're trying to deal with things. This is designed for us and we're inside it. So it's difficult to get all the answers when you're stuck inside. It really is. We
Well, the
can
question
chip away at
becomes,
it.
how do you get outside of the box and then perform some measure of experiment that you need?
Only with NHI you could do that. It's the only way. because we
Someone to
don't.
hold
We're
your hand and
stuck.
take you out, sort of thing.
Basically, yes. It's the only way. We need to be caretaken over that. We couldn't do it ourselves. We're stuck, we're limited into this reality. And then only momentarily might get glimpses of it on the other side through the veil. But we're not in control. We're not in control of maintaining that. That's the problem.
So does,
NHI can help.
does that mean we'll never get proof of the fact we're in a box because we can't get out of the box?
Oh no. No, we've already got the proof of that. It's
And
just
this
you
is
don't know it. It's just not out yet.
is this what we talked about last time?
And more.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's good then. At least that we can prove X, Y, or Z from within our confinement. Because if it was the other
It's
way around
true.
that we couldn't prove a lesbianite, then we're buggered, aren't we?
Yeah, no, it's definitely proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. But we live in disturbing times. Very volatile the world is. Humans are very volatile, and how that would impact society on a general whole is not something I think that people want to participate at the moment. I think we need to sort of spiritually grow a bit, but they know, we know, certain teams know, professionals, academics, scientists, official government places, they know, and they're doing their studies and looking in all sorts of things and learning things about the matrix, the simulated reality, and how it's conditioned and controlled by NHI.
Right, I know one of the experiments we talked about last time was literally the otherworldly photography. And I know that hasn't been released yet, or I'm assuming that has that changed since we last spoke.
It's gearing up. I've been on the calls over actually last night as well. It was a
Oh, cool.
3 hour call, but it's gearing up. The problem is that when suddenly three-letter departments want to get involved, it becomes a bit tricky when you're dealing with these three-letter departments because you end up taking a step back because then you don't know. Suddenly they're reaching out and you want you to do this or they want them to do that. Is that, well, do they have a problem with putting the information out?
It
And
must be
if
because they're
so, do we?
intertwining, yeah.
And if so, is that going to cause an issue? So there's a very tricky learning process here. But the data's the data at the end of the day. You don't need belief. The data's the data, such. But like I say, it's going to. I know it's heading out there. It's just how it's going to be managed, really, and what we might consider it to be.
So we've got that. What other experiments are there that might prove that we're in the box that are going on that you're aware of that haven't been released yet?
Um, Audio phenomena is another one. There are specialized stuff now to really look at audio, and you start to find data in there which gives clues to the parameters of the audio. See, what you got to consider is when you take a photograph or record anything, what people do is that they think they know the parameters of the recording or the photograph because of the equipment it's recorded on. But if I say, look, you take a photograph, go outside and take a photograph of your back garden on your cell phone, you think, okay, I've got a 4K photograph, which you can get out of a cell phone now. And that's where it'll leave it. What you don't realize is that that photograph, the information goes on forever. It's the data in those photographs is a constant, and it gives information beyond even our visual range can see. But people don't get that because they don't think that. They just think that the parameters end with the equipment it took the photo with. No, same for video. There's so much data there. We just got through a breakthrough then to realize, oh, that's just a tip of the iceberg. All the rest of the stuff that we're not aware that's in that photograph. So when you realize you can apply it to certain things like JFK assassination, looking for gold, Jake Barber's egg, UFOs in the sky, apparitions, sonic weapons, all sorts of things. Maybe I said a bit too much, but
No,
the data's there. You just people don't see it.
they're not
But
aware
now
of what's being
there are
recorded.
ways of dragging the data out now. And when you start to see that, you start to recognize lots of things around, including very large constructs, geometric constructs, and we don't know what the hell they are, but they're very large and they are around, but they're just one step out of our reality. But interactive for sure.
Pose a question to you, right? Touching on AI, which we briefly spoke about earlier. You've got a video. I go outside and take a video of my back garden. And when I play it back, to me, it's just my back garden. That's all I see, right?
Yeah.
We know, based on what you've said and other things, that there's other things at play within that realm outside my back garden,
Everywhere.
right?
Even the room
Everywhere,
you
yeah?
everywhere, even the room you're in now.
Correct. So I can't see that, but it's there.
Hmm.
If we take an AI video, is there no data in that data? No extra?
Exactly the same.
Well, that's the interesting bit then. So is it constructed at the time of creation?
It's
Because
a
AI video shouldn't have anything in it, should it?
Oh no, this is where the thoughting goes wrong.
Hmm.
Let's just say that the phenomenon, this is the predecessor of reality. You were looking through lenses. You're looking at your screen now. You're looking through multiple lenses. You don't know it, but you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're there. They exist. They're predecessors of reality. They first thing. That's the first thing. They're everywhere. So even if you create something which is artificial intelligence, it's still before it. It's always before it. Doesn't matter. It's not about the program. It's not about, it's before everything that we experience in reality. No matter if we're watching a TV screen, of a movie or it's something artificially created, doesn't matter. It's the predecessor of all.
Because it's there behind whatever image we're
Everything that we
projecting.
experience, watch, see, sense, and everything is behind it.
I got you. I get
It's a
it now.
predecessor. So it precedes everything. We've just not been used to seeing this.
Yeah, it's layer one, and we're becoming opaque to see it, or
Yeah, and
whatever
now
the other
now
transparent. I mean,
we're seeing multiple layers as if like sheets of glass. There's different layers. Like you could say, is this? We actually talked about this last night. I said, is this remnant then to suggest it's a multi-universe, multi-reality? The different levels, the different layers that we're looking through. There's still a lot of work to be done in this area, but we know it is there. It exists. It's
so the
it's
metadata behind video, from what you said just a moment ago, before I took us on that tangent, is also there in audio files
yeah,
because it's just another lens then to look back,
yeah.
and that thing is still the beginning. So we're always going to
The
see that
data's
thing.
there. The data's there in everything.
And can we turn that audio metadata into something visual or
We can.
auditory that we can hear?
We can now get. It's only got it this week actually. They now
Oh,
get visualization. It's actually done on one of my recordings. Visualization from an audio file. And I tell you, it was crazy weird seeing those visuals just from an audio file.
well, that's
It's
what I was saying. You said last time to me that when you looked at this photography that we haven't seen yet, that it disconcerted you, and
yeah.
yeah, disconcerted you. Did the same thing disconcert you from the audio visualizations
No, not
stuff?
so much because
Okay.
after what I've seen in video and photo is a bit, it sort of got me there. But I didn't realize it existed within audio as well, and it
Is it
does.
the same thing that you see, or is it a different visualization?
Similar,
Okay.
but it's there in audio. You can gain visualize information from audio.
Wow.
I know
Proper freaky.
it is
What
pretty. It
other
really
things,
is.
right? Obviously, we got visual, we got audio. Is there anything else that's got metadata hidden with it? Like, could you even go down to things like touch or smell?
We don't know yet, to be honest. Don't know. Visuals. We have to start with visuals first.
Of course, yeah,
Both
yeah.
photos and video, which are the most prominent thing. And now they've just reached into audio to get visual information from audio. which is interesting because
Proper mental.
you can place a UFO in the sky from a recording, an audible recording of communication between a radio tower and another guy. And you think, what the hell? It's like
Sorry, can you explain that? Because I don't quite
it's
get that.
well, imagine like that everything in reality, it's got a sentient path. So it's intelligent. It's not just a you're not just looking at a coloring book. It's sentient. It knows. It's intelligent. And this is why reality is created for us. We know through the dual slit experiments. We know through triple slit, quad slit, and many others proves the hypothesis of multiple realities. But then it's this reality is geared for us, not animals. You stick an animal in front of the dual slit, it doesn't collapse for them. It does for us, you know. So we think, oh, well, we'll go and record it. Let's record the collapse. You can't, because it's going to act exactly the same way. You can record the collapse, of course, because that's what it does. It shouldn't record the collapse on a video camera, but it does because it's intelligent and knows you're recording it and you're going to view it. There's the intent. I'm going to collapse. It's geared and created for us, this reality. So it's sentient. It's in a sense of speaking. It reacts and interacts. So when we're looking at pattern recognition and things, it knows to deliver the information in a certain way. It can hide it through metadata, but that's only because we've not found the way of breaking it down. There's like hidden coding in a sense of speaking. Materializations and manifestations punch a hole in our reality momentarily when they appear. But when they disappear and dematerialize, they leave a hole. But a hole isn't an empty hole, really. I mean, it's got light waves, gravity, photons, EMF, air, molecules,
And does that
dust.
hole heal?
The hole heals because the program fills it in.
Okay,
It takes a
so
bit of
it's not
time.
there forever. We're not like a colander going forward, getting more and more
No, but
holes.
whilst it's there, it's measurable under EMF. But it's just a gravitational well, which is filling up. It's just all you need. It's just a little pinprick,
Hmm.
sometimes, but it's enough for phenomena to track through. So it's punching through from out and in to our reality. It's like we're stuck in a box, and they manipulate and they can punch a hole through it to traverse, interact, whatever. But then when they disappear, they leave a hole which closes up eventually. But if you're there momentarily or quick as you can measure those. You measure gravity wells, latency effects on DT time meters, and different things like that. So it's just a program filling up the hole. It's a correction program.
Where does I'm sure you've watched Skinwalker Ranch, right? I don't know how much weight you put on that program as an entertainment versus science. Where do you sit with the 1.6 gigahertz signal and that thing?
From 1.4 to 1.6 gigahertz signal is, yes, it's prominent, not just at Skinwalker Ranch. It's also being used as dog whistles in the psionic circle Skywatcher type stuff
And when you say
because
dog whistle, what does that mean in layman's terms?
enticement of a UFO.
Okay.
It's a frequency put out to entice UFO. Um, but they're curious. They are very curious. And if we're picking out an area of the sky when we're imploding 1.4, 1.6 of this RF into those locations, because that's what you're talking about, it's RF.
Hmm.
They're going to come nosing and think, what's going on here? And there is no bringing down a UFO, no, despite what they say. There's enticement, of course. Now, there were two other programs, though, which were hoping, they bring out a UFO, entice a UFO, and then they jump on it with weapons and bring it down. At a time, you got to be quick because you got to catch them off guard before they become metaphysical because at a switch, remember, they can become
Yeah.
non-physical, and that object, the missile or whatever, they'll go right through it and carry on going. Or sometimes they can make an impact and they'll split and then come back together in a sense, and that's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, innit?
But we got video footage of that. So you've got to catch him off guard and surprise them where they're actually in our physical reality, so that our weapons will react normally under our physics to collide with them and cause some damage. These were two programs. One was Haystack, Project Haystack, which was utilizing various different military factions in the US to basically jump on them, be honest with you, when they manifest. Um, but they also use the other one, which I can't talk about too much, is called Interloper, which is another program that they're using. So they use the dog whistle to entice them, not forcing them down, they're enticing them. But it's that frequencies that they use. So yeah, it's RF frequencies, and it's the same
Mm.
RF frequencies that's used through manifestation and materialization, and it's also iron that affects RF frequencies.
So if I go outside, right, today, and I don't have this capability, but so just say I did have a capability to shoot 1.6 up wherever, it doesn't matter. In theory, then something should manifest based on my calling.
Well, I mean, they're taken into consideration. They're going to locations where these things are manifesting. Not just going any place. They're going to certain places, and these places is where the phenomena likes to utilize and go about its business without detection. So the rural locations out in the deserts and things like that. There's not many people, not much footfall, and that's So if you're in one of those locations, yeah, absolutely, of course you could. It's what you do
When
then.
you say they're going about their business, that's a great term because what is their business?
Agendas, they have many different things. Most of them we don't know.
I'd
They
love
have
to know
various
those.
different, they have various different ones. I think they have, there's ones which are interested in the science and technology of humanity. So they're monitoring every type of civilian military base on this planet, every power station, airports, for secret facilities for manufacturing certain things, in aeronautics, laboratories. People keep going on about could it be a threat? Well, if they wanted to be a threat, we would have no chance. I mean, for instance, when we had like the Gulf War and stuff, a lot of work goes on in the background about destabilizing the country first. So you bomb its airports. You might take power grids out, so they've lost the power through power stations. You know where to strike. So a lot of work goes in to finding out the weaknesses, the infrastructure of that country, and you strike the infrastructure and you cripple the country. They, considering they know everything about where all our things are, they could cripple us in a day, and that's it. But no, they don't want to do that. They want to work, they want to go about doing what they want to do. They don't want to disclose. They don't want disclosure. They're never going to land on the White House lawn. They're never going to want disclosure. It doesn't want disclosure. They've always been here. No, they just want to carry on doing what they want to do in their own way. And that's multiple things. It's monitoring humanity, genetics, upgrading humanity in some cases, technology, is moving on, interacting with us, experiments in fear induction and pain, and misfortunate things, and in euphoric experiences sometimes. Or how
It,
did humans learn?
it seems
That
like a
sort of thing.
fact-finding experience and just like observations so that if we ever get to a point where we are able to interact negatively with them properly, they're ready. That's what
Oh
it
God,
sounds
yeah,
like.
they'll always be ready. The light
Mm,
years. I mean, they have godly power. We would interpret it as godly powers. Well, the little G's in a sense of
yeah, of
speaking,
course.
really. So you would say, well, do you know what? What people are experiencing from these encounters, if you look at the range of them, is that there's nothing that you could say, well, this is what our God, our example, our God, ETs, or if you want to call them ETs, NHI, they've been seen to walk across water, just as Jesus did. They've seemed to heal people, just as Jesus did. You know, levitate things, all sorts of, all the godly things. You say this is God, they've got, they've got the godly abilities. And the problem that comes with that is the height of deception, because they can appear to be anything that they want to be, and therefore can utilize the situation for themselves to make you think
Does
something
that
that
mean
it
that
isn't.
Jesus was a small G, and was he an NHI in origin, or was he something else as part of God?
Well, it's a tricky question, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't think you can answer that without pissing everyone off, one side or t'other.
You can't really, but there was something, I mean, clearly this guy existed and he was born to this world in a normal way. Might have been, um, he may have been the product of something mystical that happened, if it was not a normal pregnancy. Um, but clearly had, according to documentation, abilities. So yeah, was he a half breed, a count, some type of alien production or something? Who knows? I think people can go into all sorts of things. At the end of the day, he's God's son, as a sense of speaking. So you think he's connected with the G,
The
you
big
know,
G.
the big G. So is he a little G with the big G? Who knows? But there seems to be a lot of little G's these days, and they talk about the war in heaven. And why did it never list actually who won?
Because the battle's still going on.
Because the battle's still going on. And I do think that. I think the battle is it's still
Mm.
continuing today.
Back to the 1.6 gigahertz signal, or 1.4 to 1.6, which is what you mentioned. On the program of the Skinwalker Ranch, they say there shouldn't be anything there, right? Because that frequency is reserved for Earth to space communication. Which
Yeah,
then
yeah.
makes me ask this question: is that frequency reserved for a reason to obfuscate the frequency range in which things manifest?
Well, I think they've been utilizing that frequency for quite some time. I mean, NOAA use it, for the weather satellite systems and stuff, and satellite communications. But it's a frequency that I've been using for quite some time.
Yeah, but
We
why?
have
Did they choose it because they know that weird stuff happens in that frequency range?
Well, also we choose it. No,
Yeah,
I
I
don't think
see.
so. I think with the world expanding into many, many different channels now, millions of them, we are going to get out of the hertz into the megahertz, into the gigahertz, and now into the terahertz. It's just growing and growing and growing. Eventually, we're going to have bandwidth crossover, and suddenly we start to see things. Oh, okay. It's not used as a permanent 24/7, but it's seemingly utilized by phenomena. Yes, does seem to be that's the case. It might also be happening during manifestation processes when interacting with non-human intelligence, and there's certainly the materialization and stuff, and manifestation. So I would suggest that RF is probably being produced through that process of manifestation, maybe. So I don't think it's done purposely.
Okay.
I just think that we've crossed over.
Yeah, coincident or overlap or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, NHI manipulation of reality and dual slit evidence of multiple realities. Now we've touched on that a little bit, but what else is there?
Um, well, there's the hypothesis is the parallel universe hypothesis. That there are other yous, there are other me's living
Better
on another
versions of
planet.
us, Steve, or worse?
Oh, some are not also. No, maybe not. You know, we're
You
just one
can't
of
get better
many.
than us, can you?
Well, I don't know. I mean, is there somebody else that's looking and saying the same thing now? And thinking if we exist, it's hard to imagine, really, to wrap your head around it. But science is taking us down this path now where we're starting to question about everything, because the construct is not just around planet Earth, it's everywhere. It's in deep space. It's everywhere, So does it get past the Oort cloud? Because the Oort cloud is something that surrounds our solar system. completely. We don't know if it exists beyond the Oort cloud. So could this Oort cloud and the planet solar systems in it and the planets within that and us on the planets all lie within this construct? I don't know. We just don't know. We just don't
What
know.
makes us think that that could be the boundary?
Well, we don't know much about it, be honest with you. I mean, the Oort cloud is still a lot of stuff to figure out. Why is it in existence? Why is it there? Why is it circumnavigate everything, circumference right round? What's its purpose? Is it just there for, because it seems to cover everything. So it's like I say, is it a containment? We don't know. We just we're still in our infancy even now trying to figure this out. But what we can say is that there is a construct. Well, why would you create a construct billions and billions of light years away if it's going to take us billions and billions years to figure that out?
Yeah, you
That is
don't need to
there.
render it yet, do you?
No. That's a good point. You don't need to render it yet, yeah.
All right. So what other evidence do we have of multiple realities through experiments?
Oh God. The airport phenomena. Perfect. The airport phenomena has been duplicated. There's evidence of duplication on these apports. And sometimes they're found in areas at a later date. So the ideal situation would be, hey, here's the apport of the item that was apported, and we knock the wall down 8 years later, and here's the real item.
Yeah, that's
So
cheeky.
you end up with, I got a duplication. I've got real item and apport of that item, and they're identical, but only one existed, you know, and we've got it's only ever once we've got that scenario, but because we don't often find the real ones. But then people are knocking down walls now and finding them because the item disappeared and was placed just in the wall or 3 foot below you, and none the wiser, because they're very resourceful poltergeist phenomena. You don't need to move things very far. A foot to the side and you're in the wall, or 3 foot underneath and you if you sat there under the floorboards. So that is a really good example of how it's manipulated, and the reality of these things, creation of things within the reality. The construct creates it, that's intelligent. That's a mechanism. So that's a really good example because we got quite a few examples of apports. It's the same we had a family who were arguing and had a toy cat.
Hmm.
Wife had not a toy cat, a pot cat, collectible pot cats. And out of temper, husband, he reached for this, flung it out the back door, hits the pavement outside in the back garden, shatters. It was back on that shelf 10 minutes later in exactly the same,
Showing no sign of any crackage.
no sign. You go out back, it's not there. So where did it go? Was it reconstructed and it is the original one put back? I doubt it. I think I think the real one, it's easy resources. We know how the resources work with these. They're very resourceful. They created another pot cat identical to it, which is really like the apport of it. Um, but, and we've got that actually. I've got it.
But the cat
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, because we removed them from the homes temporarily. Because we were checking to see if they are acting as quantum anchors for phenomena to be delivered, and it does seem that's the case. They seem to get a bit confused at first as to, oh, what's gone on? Because they rang us up and said, have you managed to get rid of it? The stuff that's going on. I said, well, no, why? We said, well, we're used to like 10 things happening a day. I said, we haven't got anything for 2, 3 days now. But it does eventually come back. the program corrects itself. Do you
Yeah,
know?
because it recognizes there must be some sort of flaw there in its design and then redoes it.
And then reestablishes targeted locations.
You know, you've said mentioned to me before when we talked about airports that you have a drawer where a lot of these things are in.
Yeah.
Is that an iron lined drawer?
Is it an iron lined?
Yeah, have you got iron surrounding
Oh,
that
so
drawer?
right, okay. Well, normally they're not kept into the house until they're not hot anymore. The term hot
Hmm.
means that they're active. So when we first take them from an environment, they're not kept in our homes, not
Good.
kept in our office. They're kept in an environment away, well away from anybody, in storage, in cold storage, until they become cold. In other words, the phenomena returns back to the location after realizing temporarily that there's a problem because we've just moved your quantum anchor out of that environment to somewhere else. It's pointless. That items become
Is irrelevant now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
irrelevant. So
yeah,
once
yeah.
phenomena starts realizing that and goes back to that location to manifest and target again, that becomes a cold item. It can be placed anywhere then. Doesn't matter. It's just an item.
Isn't it interesting that they have to use an item though?
Well, it's the best place to do it because what else would they leave? I mean, they have to leave something. But I mean, they want to target something in your environment. What's in
There
your
has to be something
environment?
in your environment. Yeah, yeah,
Has
yeah. I
to
get it
be.
now.
It's got to be.
Yeah. How very odd.
We wouldn't even know. You could be drinking, you could go down to your kitchen and you could be drinking out of a cup, a nice cup of tea, and that cup could be an apple and you wouldn't know. It's taken the old away one and delivered the new one.
You know
You
the
wouldn't
whole
know.
multiple realities thing, right? Let's just say this cat thing again, and he threw it out the window again. It's smashed. 10 minutes later, it's there again. He threw it out the window. It's smashed. And you could go on like that for say 12 days or whatever, doing the
I
same
don't
thing,
know.
right?
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
my question would be: are there all those instances of smashed cats, other realities or other
Smashed.
instances of our universes where someone is missing their cat?
Yeah.
I.e., did it take it from there, or is the whole process a new creation, an instance? You know, like
Well,
in a computer program, an
according
instance.
to the analysis that we've done on apports, the diathermic reaction in them suggests that they've been created, that it isn't an item, original item being reused, it's created somehow because there's differences, not visual differences or weight differences, no difference at all like that, you recognize it. But under the microscope, um, microscopy or radio microscopy, you see the differences in the apport compared to the original item. So if it was a duplicate of that, it's gonna be, you wouldn't expect that. So it's created in some form of way, but not in a way that we would know unless everybody's got a microscope, a microscopy. They can do that on 3 levels of it, radioactive type material, and can look into the details of that. It's not something that's very rare. You get them at laboratories at universities and places, which can help out occasionally. So no, I don't think it is. I think it's created, and it's like an apple in a sense of speaking is created. Your cup might have disappeared, but now you found it over there. Doesn't mean it was the cup it disappeared. Just means that it looks and feels the same cup as it's disappeared.
Let's go on the face of it that it has disappeared from somewhere to somewhere, right? Here's my left hand representing our universe. Here's my right hand representing another multiverse, right? However they sit is irrelevant. Your cat thing goes from here to here. So is it that transportation,
Yeah, that's a good question.
or
I know
is
what
it
you're getting at.
creation within the universe? That's
Yes,
the
I
point.
completely get it. I know what you understand. Um, I think that each and every, if there is these multiple realities of other worlds and other places, that they are also within a construct of themselves, and these constructs can't get past each other.
Okay.
Yeah, I think because it's like two programs had to have a barrier to stop them interfering with each other. Otherwise, you can get bleed through all the time and cause
Yes,
mass
yeah.
confusion, and things start breaking down. I think that it'd be too problematic. I think it's deliverable in sections. So this is ours, that's theirs, and so on and so forth. I think they're created within our construct. think they're created for us by in our reality, for the construct, by the construct, and not beyond that. Because I mean, certainly for items that don't belong, Lena said, like, I think it's a manageable situation for phenomena like poltergeist, is that they could be manifesting and conducting disturbances in multiple homes. And when you have items that turn up, don't belong, it's just going like this, swapping things around. Because it's in charge of doing that one over there in that house, and in charge of this house, the disturbances there. So it's just going like this, swapping things around. Because many people say, "Oh, I found things that don't belong to me," and probably other people saying, "We found things that don't belong to us."
Yeah, I've got loads of women's underwear in my house. It's not mine.
It,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I'll tell you a very interesting little story, what you've just reminded me of. It was a case done in Leeds in the UK, and they had a poltergeist phenomena going on in the home, disturbances. The wife comes home, and upstairs they've got a four-poster bed, a small four-post bed,
Hmm.
and at the bottom of the bed was a bra which was stretched over that side of that post and onto the other side of the post,
Whoa.
which wasn't hers. So of course you can imagine what's going through her mind. Yeah. And in fact, he had to cut it off. I had to cut it literally off. Couldn't. It was just so tight. I couldn't even. I don't know even how he would have got it on because I couldn't stretch it enough to get it on. So thinking to myself, I had to cut the damn thing off. How did it get on that? I mean, to stretch that far, you know what I mean? But it was on it. And of course, they went through some problems because of that, because she thought, you've obviously seen somebody, and she's been in the house and she's left that on purpose as some type of, you know, a joke or something, but she wants the cat out of the bag, and that's all. It was just a phenomena generated all that vexation and stress from doing this. It's clever, it's resourceful. It knows how to do things which is going to cause more vexation and more stress, which it feeds on because it's parasitic. But those things do happen. But yeah, items that don't belong are a regular occurrence that happens in poltergeist infestations. You have to question, where do they come from? Not necessarily are they manufactured. They could be just taken from another environment, swapped around.
Yeah, that's the
Or
interesting
how
thing.
many pot cats is there? I mean, there must have been a production line of these. Can't be the only little pot cat in the world which is like this. There's probably a production. So is it just taking it from another production somewhere when bringing it here? It,
Yeah, is it
but they,
taken from within our universe, or is it creating it within our universe, or is it
oh,
taking it
that's
from
right.
somewhere else?
It's
So,
because of the analysis we start to look at it and go, do you know what? There's something odd about this. It's not the same as the original cat. The diathermic reactions in it. So there's something. It's like it's manufactured, placed together. It's a mockery. It's a mimic of the actual original, in a sense, but not ideal. It's not got it perfect. You can see differences under a microscope clearly, apparently.
if we look at computer code based on object creation, a code will create, so let's just say, a character in a computer game. When that character is created, I presume that character is always going to be something, right? So you could say it's a solid number one or something, right? That's an example. When it's recreated again, it's always going to be a solid number one, but it might have an index of B because that's the second creation version of it.
Hmm.
Is that what that diathermic thing is? Is just that B each time? It's like the second
Um,
generation.
well, you can visually see the difference. I mean, the construct of it is completely different. The physical construct of it on a microscopic scale is different. Diathermic reactions are responsible for that, maybe. But we also found very similar diathermic reactions in plants that had been adversely affected by UFOs that manifested close to the ground and affected the plants. And the analysis on the plants, which was called plant chemical and biological traumatology tests, showed diathermic alteration.
So what that is then isn't a signature of another universe per se, it's a signature of the interaction of the phenomenon on an object in this reality.
There
That's
you
what
have
it
it.
is.
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to find a signature of another universe, like
Yeah,
different
yeah.
different isotopic
It might be
whatever,
completely
that sort of thing.
different. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. It could
that would
be.
be interesting. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's telling me that that's just interaction of phenomenon on an object is creating a slight imbalance or whatever it is. I don't know, an alteration.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Interesting.
could be completely different for if it was another universe, another us, another where else.
But
Could
that's
be
good though, because
completely.
that at least gives a signature of an interactive part. So what we could do if we invented some measure of technology that looked for that differential, and we could like
Yes,
film around it. Oh, there's something that's hot.
exactly.
That's had something attached to it at some stage. You know that sort of
You
thing.
could if you got the right equipment. I mean, I know that
Mm,
they've got a visual radiation meters now because we used to look around and it used to go click, 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 click,
yeah.
click, and now in a digital sense, which I've got. But now they've got one which has got a computer screen on the front of it. And all you're doing, it's showing, it's like looking through a video camera lens. It's a screen you're looking at. And as you're moving around, it will show you the radiated hotspots, you see.
Yeah.
So we
That
are
sort of
getting there.
technology. Yeah, yeah.
The technology is getting there. It's providing things that help us look through the veil. Things that we cannot see or hear normally, we have to rely on a specialized equipment. Things are being designed, which is going to be very, very helpful. I've been trying to look into one of them, but at the moment I can only it's only really in China at the moment for checking, the radiated sites where you'd be like Chernobyl places like
Yeah,
that, you
yeah.
know what I mean? Where you've got whole towns which have just been deserted because of radiation leak. They go in and they can travel through these locations and do experiments and stuff, but they don't know where the pockets were. And they've got these things, detectors on them, but they're not great because it suddenly comes on these suddenly because it moves around. Radiation moves. With this, they can make their path through. They can see where it is,
Mm,
and hot spots to stay away from.
I like
That's
that. That's
clever,
brilliant.
isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, but as soon as it gets into the public domain, I'm going to be getting one of them.
Yeah, definitely. And then somehow somebody's going to tweak that code to be able to see other signatures. That will be
Yeah,
the interesting thing.
it's the signature. We're getting there. It's just people are going to build these things. I've got to say, well, how's this going to use? Is it sellable? How many people are going to buy it? It's okay. I'd line up to buy one, but how many people are going to buy
If
it?
you can afford the bloody thing.
If you could afford
Yeah.
the damn thing, that's the problem. But sometimes people are even manufacturing things themselves, like the DT meter that we've got. Time displacement meter. It's next to impossible to get hold of. You can't buy them. They're a bit expensive, like, but they literally had to be manufactured. It's not off a shop shelf, but it works. And other scientists are now using it because I talk with these guys and they say, they pull up this. Hey, Steve, look at this. Show me the DT. It was you that got me into this, and it does work. And I said, oh, I know. Yeah, but like I say, you've got to sometimes look for things. If it's not on the shop shelf, sometimes manufacturing, but it can be expensive, but you've got to get ahead of the game somehow. Otherwise, you're not going to get what you need. And a DT meter, which measures time displacement, is a perfect piece of equipment in locations where gravity wells take place due to manifestation of phenomena. Or when they dematerialize, there's a void which is detectable and you can get latencies. Also had it in ancient sites and caves and things with Barry's research, discovering latencies. So they are around and you wouldn't know they exist, to
No,
be
of
honest with
course.
you. You wouldn't know otherwise.
Awesome. Right, I want to ask you some questions now, Steve, about something that I've had on my questions list for you since day dot with our
All
first
right.
interview, but they always got pushed back. But so sod it, I'm going to do them now.
Okay.
It's about your presenting work and your YouTube channel and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Um, your YouTube channel launched recently, right?
Yeah.
Again, um,
Yeah.
and you've already got you got a decent following. How did you start doing YouTube, and why did you start doing YouTube?
Well, years ago, I worked with a colleague, and we had our own business called Zohar Entertainment Group, and that was responsible for all the media and entertainment side of networking regarding the subject matter. So we were in touch with people from all over the world. We did documentaries. I was executive producer of many different ones. I think the last one I did was Richard Dolan's UFO Chronicles. and when we spent a couple of weeks with him, and we did this show, which I was the executive producer on, and then we did Eric von Daniken's 50th anniversary of Chariots of the Gods at the BAFTA Theatre in London. And we're in touch with lots of different people making lots of different videos, and on some films for TV or all sorts of different platforms, including YouTube. And that's kind of how we got into it as a business sort of a thing. But I also have my own channel, which is relatively new, really. It's only been going 12 months. But I wanted something of my own and to be able to put out the continued research that we're doing because it's a very niche market of when we're talking about NHI and discussions and the research and the stuff that we do and the things that we find out. It's not for everybody, and it doesn't make great advertising on for some people. You can imagine.
Mm.
Not that user friendly, is it? So I'm not, I was never did it to expect, oh, I'm going to get thousands upon thousands of subscribers. Not with this content. I mean, it's going to be a bit tongue
It's
in cheek.
niche. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's niche. So it's not about that, but it's just making sure that I did have at least one place I can say to people, go there, have a look. There's some details there. Because it's very difficult when you get asked the same questions over and over again in my emails. I get about 600 a day. Well, I get asked,
Really?
yeah, I do get
Jesus.
about 600 a day. And it's hard to keep track of them all. I have to sort of I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that. And what stands out. It's the only way to filter them. But I get asked questions and it's the same questions. So luckily I've got places where I can direct people to, which helps curb the questions. So that's how I got involved in that. And I've done a lot of television work over the years, many years. Started writing for television first and then accidentally fell in front of the camera one day. And
Is that because somebody was sick and they said, "Go on, Steve, you can do
yeah, pretty much something like that. Yeah.
that"? Yeah.
And they just said, "Oh, that's great," sort of thing. But the problem is that I presented a lot of shows in a presenter situation,
Hmm.
as opposed from being in a show, being not. I've done some acting, and I've been in some TV shows in acting, but because you get hooked into doing so much presenting. I remember when the last time I worked with the Hollywood team that came over from the US, Unsolved Mysteries, and when I was filming with them for a week or two over here in the UK, they kept laughing because they said, Steve, we just want you to walk across over here and just tell us about what you experienced. And they said, stop, cut. Steve, you're doing it again. What? You said you're not the presenter of Unsolved Mysteries. Because I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking at the camera saying, oh, and this is what happened. And da 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 da. It's really
Oh, I
exciting.
see. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They just want me to walk along and just talk and with the camera on me, but don't want me to present. So I said, oh, damn it, I'm doing it again. I'm so used to doing presenting, presentation mode. But I've done quite a few things. I've been at Ridley Scott Studios as well, and for different things, and filming and stuff, which was in London. But I like to do that. So I've got used to it over the years. That sort
But
of
you've
thing.
done it all, though, haven't you? Because you've obviously been
Yeah,
a contributor, a narrator in
yeah,
front of the scenes and behind the scenes. What do you
yeah.
think you've done more of?
Um, that's a really good question. Actually, I've never been asked that. Probably construction. I mean, all right, no, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe what I've been in. I'd only say, look, go to the IMDb channel, put my name in, and look at the content, and it just keeps going and going and going. So, but then I might have wrote it, or I might have featured in it, I might be
Yeah.
presenting it. It's a tricky situation, that one. Yeah, that's a hard one. I think a bit of both, all sorts of things, really,
Man
over
of
the
many
years.
hats. Hey, before I asked you a question, right? Who would play you in your life? And you said it was Jared Harris of,
Yeah.
and I do know who that was. It's the guy from Foundation. If you've ever watched that
Well, it's
TV
only
show.
because, yeah, he is, but there was a movie that came out. It was loosely based on my work, and it was released in the US. And the guy that played, what's his name now? The one that played Harry Potter. Can't
Oh
remember
yeah,
his name.
I know
I
him.
can't
Yeah,
remember his name now, but
Daniel
he
Radcliffe.
that's it, Daniel Radcliffe. Um, um, it was an interesting film. It was created by Hammer, which used to be Hammer
Hmm.
House, yeah, Hammer Productions now. And J- my character was played by Jared, so I kind of get to sort of know everything about the movie and seeing all the things and was going through it. And I was also utilized by the company to be the spokesman for the movie. So it was kind of based loosely
Bit
on that
meta.
way.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty good, but he did a really good rendition of how I would be. So I started following his work then, and I think, yeah, he's the sort of person who could be a good me.
He's a good mirror. I think it came to me then, or a few minutes ago, that you could be a J. Allen Hynek, couldn't you? There's a bit of that about you, so I wonder if you could do that in the future.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, we'd have to see. I
Just
do
have a
have a
pipe
pipe.
and a
I
hat.
do
You'd
have a
be.
pipe actually, but I don't use it very often.
That's one for for your future. What's the TV show or production do you think turned out the best, where you think it covered the topic right in your opinion?
What one I've been involved in, or just one in
Yeah, one
general?
you've been involved in.
Um, oh, crikey, it would be National Geographic. Yeah, and it would be um, what was that now? It was Red Blood Rain.
I don't
Yeah,
know it, but
Blood Rain and Panspermia. It was done for Wild X Files on National Geographic, which I work with, and that was probably the best in regarding, to the point in regarding the science. Because I always
yeah,
like to put the science forward and want to make sure it does that. Most TV shows wander away from it into the entertainment side, but they did a really good job of it.
quality. On
Yeah.
that basis, then, conversely, is there any shows that really pissed you off or disappointed that you thought,
99% of the ones that are out.
oh, that's harsh, isn't it? That means they're all crap apart from the odd one.
Well, no, I mean, it's not. It's just that we don't get science. I'm very surprised if you really get the good science stuff comes out because it's not considered entertaining. It's considered boring by people. But now and again, you get a boring TV show that comes out, which is, to me, it's interesting, but to others, it's not. It's the entertainment factor's taken over. So 99% of the stuff that's out there, I'll only watch because I want to giggle most of the time. There isn't much good, not getting anywhere, not helping the subject. In fact, it's damaged the subjects tremendously. Ill-advised people about stuff. So I don't see much, be honest with you, and there's so much entertainment, and within that there's faking going on, or there's disinformation going on, and it doesn't help. It's annoying to me, and it doesn't help me. I've spent 41 years in scientific research. I don't want to see that. I don't want it out. But this, unfortunately, I'm just me,
It's
I
part
can't
of
fight the
yeah.
world. But entertainment is a damaging thing because it's people have just gone done some silly things, and it's because they've seen things on TV shows sometimes, and it discredits our work. It's a real shame because people don't realize how far ahead we are in studies, but they won't know because they don't see it on a TV channel because it doesn't make good entertainment. It can be a bit boring, I suppose, sometimes.
Yeah, a bit dry, but I think there's a big call for I don't know if there is a science channel, but like a channel that did just do hardcore humanity work on it, and I would
Would be
sure that would get
good.
an audience.
Well, yeah, it would do, but it's the measure. You see, there's a lot of stats to go around these tables. I've been at them for different big TV companies, and it's all about stats and the saying, well, do you know what? If we made it more entertainment, this, that, and the other, then we would actually get more views. And so the science disappears very quickly. And you end up with a TV program called UFO Cowboys, which is probably one of the worst ones that ever been done on any television channel. A bunch of 6 or 7 people wandering around out in the ranch lands of the US at night, claiming to be attacked by aliens and abducted and all sorts of different things, and put out as a factual thing. and just shook my head. And just, this is what you're up against. And when it's very, very difficult to get ahead, because people are shocked to hear. They shouldn't be shocked. I mean, some of the research I've been talking about on recent shows, 2000, from 98 to 2003, 2003 to 2008, and it's old stuff, but people are still shocked to hear it, and they shouldn't be honest
No,
with
because
you,
that should
because
be in the consciousness of everyone, because it should have been
it
promoted.
really should, but we
Mm.
can't battle the system. Entertainment is a good thing, but the problem is they're running out of ideas of how to do a TV show different, because eventually there's no way you can make a TV show different anymore. It's saturated.
Mm.
So hopefully, maybe one day. Yeah, I mean, there's been some good ones over the years, some good channels and things that have done it. Um, but a lot of them have lost them over the years. We used to have BBC and Panorama and stuff like that, didn't we, years ago? Always what began with there was one called Q. Can't remember now, but it was QU something. I can't remember now, but they did science ones as well, and a few other Discovery. But they are disappearing fast because there's more money to be made in entertainment. It's become a money situation, unfortunately.
Yeah, money versus fact, and I just think that's dumbing down the
It's a shame,
populace again.
but
But it
it's
is a
just the way
shame.
it
But hey
is.
ho. Last question before we enter the Koit zone for the fourth time. What do you prefer doing more? Writing articles, writing books, doing your investigations, or presenting?
Research, the experiments, the investigation, and research, because it's experience. And can always do writing, lecturing, talking, teaching and stuff. I've done teaching, but it's the experiments because you might get something new that happens. It's like light phenomena. We've realized now is a predecessor to manifestation. Light phenomena is a predecessor to manifestation.
That's the announcement of the "we are coming" sort of thing.
Now, so what's the true face of the phenomena? Could it be the light phenomena? We got to.
Before they turn the mask on. Yes, 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 yes.
Do you know what I mean? So experiments
Mm.
sort of deliver information and puts us on track with other things. So I would say it's the experiments and the research and the active investigation is probably the most rewarding.
No, fair play. That is the core of things. I was just thinking when you were answering, then if somebody posed that question to me, what would I prefer doing? And I was thinking creating the music to begin with, and then the presenting of the music is the pain in the ass bit.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
that,
yeah,
isn't it? It's
yeah.
it's that. It's the essence. Right, Steve. It is time for us to enter the Koit zone for the fourth time. So here we
Okay.
go. Koit zone. Can you name a breed of pig?
A breed of pig.
Yeah.
Um, Boar. It's a pig.
I'm going to accept it, Steve. I was looking for things like Gloucester Old Spot and things
Oh,
like that,
sorry.
but that's
Right,
okay.
right.
It's okay.
Okay.
You got half a point for that one. Last time I asked you if you could name a chicken breed, so I just thought I'd go with something different this time.
Oh, right.
How'd
Okay.
you feel about
Well,
that?
yeah. Well, the boar's the most popular will pig it's ever been.
There you go.
So
Have you ever eaten boar, by the way?
no, I haven't. But it
No,
was the
you
most
shouldn't.
popular pig on the planet at one time.
Mm. Have you ever been asked a question at a convention panel or a speaking engagement that stumped you and made you go away and research it?
No.
Wow.
In fact, the opposite. I've been sat with other researchers, well-known ones around the world, and they've not been asked and be able to answer the question. And it was quite funny because they tend to look to me and say, "Do you think you can answer that one, Steve?" And I say, "Oh yeah, I can give it a go." You know, because I think a lot of researchers have just specialised in one area. Well, I haven't. I specialised in all the areas. I've spent 41 years, it's a long time,
Mm.
but I've spent so many years in this field, in crop circle phenomena, I could stand my ground at a crop circle conference, paranormal, demological, supernatural, ufological, cryptid, space anomalies, ancient secrets, ancient past sites, metaphysical stuff, the science side of things. So I've got all this, which I can utilize, but some researchers just say, well, I just studied UFOs only. And they get but that's the problem. because they need to expand a really little into the
Bigger
paranormal sector.
picture. Mm.
You know, you need to get a bigger picture. So sometimes it's the opposite. You know, I've never come across a question I haven't been able to answer, apart from the fact, well, yeah, actually, there probably is actually. There's probably a few times I said, I answer it, but I say, well, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Because
the right thing.
I've
Yeah.
always said, look, don't guess at anything. If you don't know it, never be ashamed of saying you don't know. We're not supposed to know everything. And sometimes I have said I don't know. Yeah, and I'll go away and research stuff, you know, and discover and find out if there was any validity to it or not, you know. And then if I ever get asked that question again, then I know what to say.
Genuine question. It might sound weird when I ask this, but I mean it with a good intention. How do you sleep at night? And the reason I
Well,
ask that is because you know a shit ton of things, so you must be like worrying all the time. How do you turn off?
well, I have pen and pad at the side of my bed because sometimes when I'm in dream or sometimes when I hypnagogic or hypnopomp it, I'm thinking about things which gives me ideas and clues or even answers, and I wake up and write them down. And then so that when I wake up in the morning, I can see what I've jotted down. I can put them into use. I'll give you a perfect example,
Hmm.
actually. I was working out how to plan, how to put um, store CD boxes. Well, there's about 110 CDs, the DVDs actually, of it's an archive material of stuff that we have from UFOs and paranormal, which dates back to the 1930s, late 1930s onwards. And there's about 50 of these boxes. Yeah. Where can I store them? And it was on my mind. And then suddenly I was asleep a couple of nights ago and it popped in. I said, right up at the top of your ceiling in your office room, put put pieces of wood around like a shelf. It's right up there. It's out of the way. Nobody would see it, and the storage location's there. It just popped in there. So I woke up that I'm doing it, and you know what? I did it. Dead simple, you know. But it just popped in there. So I always keep things, you know, if I write things. But there you go. I tend to have to wind down sometimes. I have to become normalized. Sometimes I watch TV shows and things. I've got TV in my bedroom. So sometimes at night I have to wind down by watching something, you know, just to get me out of the zone I'm in regarding research or whatever, you know. But yeah, that's it.
Cool.
So,
No, no, good, good. I thought you might go down a pad or a dictaphone sort of route because you have to do that to clear your
oh
mind.
well,
I do
yeah,
something similar, but
yeah.
quality.
Pad and pen.
What's broken in your house that needs fixing?
Well, actually, I'm quite a handy person. You know, I've got that from my dad. So there's not a lot I won't do. What's broken? Um, mm, Not a lot. Can't think of anything. It's
That's
actually
good then.
broken.
Your house is in order. That's a good way of
It's
putting
in
it.
order. Yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah, I'm pretty clued up regarding. I've done all sorts of things. I've done carpentry. I've done brick buildings. I've done all sorts. I've been very physical. I'm very creative in regarding stuff, and I think there's nothing you can't do if you put your mind to it. And
Completely
I
agree.
watch plenty of YouTube channels.
Yes, yes. See, I'm open to trying everything DIY in
Yeah.
my house apart from electrics. I won't. I don't want to go near that
Oh,
shit.
yeah, I've done all that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I had it years ago when I was at school. There was a plug, and I what's that? And I touched it and got electrocuted. That's probably put me off touching electrics.
Well, back when in the day when I was learning it, I was at GEC Electrical to get my electrical engineering degree, and then I went through them. It taught me, and back then they used to give you an electric shock. You know, they did. You wouldn't get past it health and safety wise now. Could
No.
kill everyone with a heart attack. You know, if what kind of
Yeah.
dick you are. But they used to give you a zap, like to say, now you know what that's like.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Don't do it. Exactly.
Steve, if you could augment your body with one piece of technology, what are you choosing, and what will it do for you?
Well, I wouldn't put anything in augment with any technology for my body. Absolutely not. Well, I just wouldn't do it. I don't believe in that sort of thing. Not even an Ephrid chip. I wouldn't agree with it, you know.
That's fair enough.
But it'd be nice to have it'd be handy on many different things. But then, no, I don't think that's the right way forward, to be honest with you.
Cool. I like this question is an apt one I wrote for you because we spoke about it earlier. Do you take any supplements?
Oh, yeah, of course I do. Because you can't. I live in a world where there's not many supplements around in foods and stuff. Yeah, I have vitamin D and cod liver oil, omega 3 plus, vitamins, whatever I need. Yeah, absolutely. You have to
Quality.
these days.
I agree with you. I've got a whole raft of them right there ready for me to take because, yeah, I agree. Um, what are your favourite memories of chocolates or sweets from Christmas past?
My favorite memories is that they were twice the size that they were for what you get. I walk around the local stores, right, and I think, flipping it, is that a curly whirl? It's like this long,
Yeah,
isn't it?
isn't
It
it? They
used to be
used to be
like
like
that
that.
long. Yeah,
Yeah,
what I think that whacking wheels be like this. It's like that now.
yeah,
It's
that's
not a
right.
whacking wheel. It's a little tiny wheel now, And I think to myself, God, things have shrunk a lot over the years, you know. But then, rather than keep the price up, they just take more off you.
Yes. See, I
That's
remember
what I've
thinking
noticed.
of the Quality Street tins, and I was never a massive fan of Quality Street, but they were like huge and deep,
Yeah,
and they had the crinkly wrappers on, and all that's gone, and you think,
yeah,
is that worth it for more
I
money?
know. Tiny
Sod
little.
that.
I know.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I know. Everything's shrinking, unfortunately.
But at least we've got the memories of when things were big.
Exactly.
We're
Yes,
winners there.
that's right.
If you cook toast, Steve, how are you having it done, and what goes best on top?
Well, I put it in the toaster. I've got a toaster. I don't
Yeah,
use a
and what
grill.
level are we doing?
Level,
Yeah, like what's your darkness scale from lightly toasted to burnt? Where are you at?
um, about middle. I don't
Okay,
like it undercooked. I don't like it overcooked. So I'm a middle ground. I'm in the middle Goldilocks area. And if I was to put something on toast, um, see, when I put toast in the toaster, I'd usually just have toast, really, with butter. And that's it. I don't ever eat margarine because it's mostly plastic. Um,
oh, it
but
is literally plastic, isn't it?
it,
Yeah,
well, it literally is. Yeah, you can
yeah.
actually light it. But no, but then I do have one of those, those toasting machines that you put them in
Oh
and you
yeah, yeah.
press them.
Bread toasty sort of thing. Yeah,
Bread
yeah.
toasty things, yeah. So I've had cheese in them and I've had beans in them and things like that. So yeah, simple guy. Just
Yeah,
to
me too. Nice
yeah,
basic food I like.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite song?
A favorite song I do. Yes,
Oh,
it's May It Be. It's my favorite song from the
May
Lord of
It
the Rings.
Be. Oh yes,
Yeah,
Enya.
yeah, and yeah,
May It Be. Yeah, I got that one.
yeah,
I play that one every now and again. It's a
yeah.
good
It's a
song.
brilliant song.
Do you have a garage? And if so, is it neat and tidy or full of crap?
I do, yes, and it's all in order, and everything's very neat, and I can go straight to everything. Yeah,
Lovely.
yeah.
So I don't know what it is, but some blokes tend to be hoarders. My dad was one. You go in his
I'm a
garage and you
bit.
couldn't
I am a
walk.
bit. Absolutely, yeah, I am a bit. My dad's the same actually, because he keeps things. But then sometimes I find things. I knew I had this. Kept hold of it. It was a good
Well, you
job.
find
So
it 20 years too late. So
yeah, well, yeah, I end up going buying it again and then realizing I actually
Mm.
already had one. That happens a lot. And my dad's the same. He does the same thing. But it's organized chaos. I'll
Yes,
put it.
that's a
Yeah.
kind way of putting it. What is a must see before you leave this earth? And have you made any plans to go and see it or wherever it is?
New York Christmas Day and Christmas
Okay.
Eve.
Any plans?
Well, I would do, but the problem is that I'm always busy. Maybe something will come up, but I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted to go for your Christmas in New York, just for the experience. That's all.
Do you think you will do it? And the reason I mention that
Oh
is
yeah, I will
because you
do
know
it.
those programs like American Pickers, they go and see a
Yeah,
bloke, sell me this car. No, it's a project I'm going to get to. 10
yeah,
years later, they're dead. They didn't
I
do
know.
it.
No, I will. Oh, it will be done. Yeah, it definitely.
Good.
I'll definitely will do it. It's
Fair play to
just
you.
working out when to do it.
Super. And that is the end of the Koit Zone and also signals the end of our fourth episode together. So once again, Steve, thank you ever so much for coming on.
No,
Much
thank you.
appreciated.
Much appreciated. Thank you very much.
All right, everyone watching again, check the links in the description to Steve's stuff. And while you're here, make sure you subscribe to my channel and go and check Steve's channel and subscribe to his as well if you haven't already. Thank you ever so much, and we will see you on the next one. Bye bye. To watch other KoitCast episodes, please click the image top left. To subscribe to my channel, please click the image top right. Please like and share to help KoitCast grow, and most importantly of all, please click the notification bell so you never miss an upload.